Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanu Suttadevi, Pranamami Hari Priye, Panchakalpa Truviyascha, Kripa Sindhuve Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvisesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine. Mukam Karti Vachalam, Hangam Langayate Girim, Yatripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Diratarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross over mountains, and a dumb man can compose eloquent poetry. Hare Krishna. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, unlimited, fathomless mercy of His divine grace, we're able to know about what's about to happen on Tuesday. I want to thank Ambrish Prabhu and all his team for making this possible. Last minute arrangements. Well, normally you do it on Zoom anyway, Sunday evenings, but especially for Tuesday and Wednesday. Great service, making it open to everyone. I'm sure Srila Prabhupada is very happy. So again, welcome everyone. And so Tuesday, we're going to celebrate the birthday, the appearance day of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whoops. No one caught me. You're all on mute. No, sometimes they get confused. Krishna is Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. But yes, this is not Gaur Purnima. This is Janmashtami. And I'm not going to talk about Krishna's appearance. I'm going to say something now from Srimad Bhagavatam, or read something from Srimad Bhagavatam about the atmosphere that was created on the earth just before Krishna's arrival. And that was in spite of Kamsa's demoniac, rigid control. The Brahmins couldn't light their fires. The Yadus had run to different places in the world to hide from the persecutions of the Yadus, from the persecution of them, by Kamsa and his bandits, his demoniac, powerful friends. Do you have that Bhagavatam quote available? This is Srimad Bhagavatam 10, was it 10:3, was it 6? 10:3, 1 through 5. So these verses are all together in one, verses 1 through 5 of the 3rd chapter of the 10th canto. And I think, yes, here we are. So I'm just going to read the translation. You can follow along if you want. Thereafter, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, you can't get the whole thing up. You have to go back and forth, huh? I don't see the whole thing myself. I've got it. Oh, no, I don't have it here. I can't. Maybe I can adjust something so I can see the whole thing at once, Ambrish. Yes, good. Move this away. Thereafter, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe, now this isn't just the Earth planet, this is the entire universe, with all the qualities of goodness, beauty, and peace. That mode of goodness is very significant. So everything's changed dramatically. I don't know if it's instantaneously, but because of Krishna's he's not even appeared yet. And this is what's happening on the earth and throughout the entire universe. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did stars like Ashwini. The sun, the moon, and the other stars and planets were very peaceful. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds, the earth seemed all auspicious. Now, just before, it had been all inauspicious. So this is the effect of Krishna's about to appear. He's not even appeared yet, although he's there on the planet. No. Maybe he's on Devaki's Vasudeva's mind, but let's see. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs full of lilies and lotuses were extraordinarily beautiful. Just imagine being in this scene, in this landscape. This isn't just nice words. This is what was really there. And you think of the most beautiful country, mountain or lakeside or scenario that you experience. It's nourishing. It's enlivening. It's satisfying. In the trees and green plants full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. Can you go down a bit? Thank you. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch. Such a light breeze. It was pleasing to the sense of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the Brahmins engaging in ritualistic ceremonies ignited their fires according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. This is on the earth and throughout the universe. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to appear, the saints and Brahmins, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace. They'd always been disturbed. The saints and the Brahmins, the most elevated people on the planet, they'd been disturbed. A lot of them normally would be undisturbed, but Kamsa was being so horrendous, killing and plundering and worse. They felt peace within the core of their hearts, and kettle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary system. So this is the atmosphere that was present on the earth and throughout the universe before Krishna came. So who would like to say one of the reasons why Krishna appears? You can unmute yourself and say it right out. What is one of the reasons why Krishna appears?
To deliver the fallen soul?
Yes, to deliver the fallen souls. Yes, well, and what about that? Krishna makes it more specific. To deliver who?
Paritranam sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma sanstharpanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Yes, so to deliver who? He doesn't just say fallen. I mean, Lord Chaitanya does that, but Lord Krishna specifically deliver who?
The devotees.
Yes, the pious, the devotees. Yes. And what's another reason? Someone else. Another reason why Krishna comes.
Establish the religion.
No, someone else, please. Abhishek, thanks for your enthusiasm. Someone else. Please, jump in. You probably all know. You're just being humble.
To annihilate the demons. To annihilate the demons.
To annihilate the miscreants, yes. To protect the devotees by annihilating the miscreants. And in terms of, in regards to Lord Chaitanya, to annihilate the demoniac mentality, which is all pervasive in Kali Yuga. It's different, a little different for Krishna. There's a third reason. Someone else?
To give the association to the pure devotees?
Well, that's kind of connected with well, not exactly. That's part of the first one, to deliver the pious, to give them succor, to support them, encourage them, and protect them. But there's a third reason stated in Bhagavad Gita. Jayashila, you want to say?
To re-establish religious principles. Re-establish religious principles.
Yes, to re-establish the principles of religion. So the foundation for this, Krishna gives himself in Bhagavad Gita. He says, he predicts, and he says why he's coming. In the 4th chapter, 7th verse, 7th, 8th, and 9th, Yada hi dharmastha. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Text 8 is Paritranaya Sadhunam, as Prabhu mentioned. In order to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion. That's it. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, I advent myself millennium after millennium. And in the end of towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada talks about how it's mainly to protect the devotees and encourage the devotees and give succor to the devotees. He says in the next to last paragraph of that, the purport to verse 9, Lord Shri Krishna descends for the specific purposes of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his Amamaya devotees. So he said the first, to deliver the pious. So that's the main reason. Killing the demons, that's secondary, and establishing religious principles. Obviously, it's important, but it's not the first primary reason. So it's important to understand why Krishna comes. And it's also important to understand that Krishna is here now. So we may think, well, Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, he's not here now. And some people may, Prabhupada answers the challenge, well, Arjuna was there right in front of Krishna, hearing Bhagavad Gita. We're not there then. And Prabhupada explains that the transcendental potency of the sound vibration of Krishna's words is the same now as it was then, and it always was, always is, and always will be. No diminution. But there's another understanding of how Krishna is here now. We know that Srila Prabhupada is here. We know that Krishna's instructions are here. When we take it from the pure parampara, what's another shastric or scriptural explanation of how Krishna is here now? Anyone can speak up. Another reason, or explanation of how Krishna is here now. Anyone, please.
In the name of his Lord, in the holy name. The
Yes.
holy name.
Yes. The Krishna Namarupe. Krishna is incarnated in the form of his name. His name. So Krishna and his name are the same. So right now, and this was stressed especially by Lord Chaitanya, in his activity and his behavior, in his preaching, although he didn't write much, his activity was mainly Harinam Sankirtan. In chapter 11 of Madhya Lila and Chaitanya Charitamrita, King Prataparudra, who was not allowed to meet Lord Chaitanya as of yet, even though he was yearning greedily to meet him, he was in great anxiety about meeting Lord Chaitanya. He went on up on the roof of his palace when he saw all the devotees gathering. And there were about 200 devotees who'd come just from West Bengal, Navadvip area, to be with Lord Chaitanya. So after making sure all the devotees were nicely accommodated and they had all nice prasadam and they were all taken care of, Lord Chaitanya started the Harinam, the Sankirtan, and he took them around the town. That was his main activity, and he would be lost in ecstasy. And if he would fall, Lord Chaitanya or Ramananda Roy would catch him. So he lived, and Krishna Varanam Krishna. He always has the name of Krishna on his lips. That's one of the symptoms of the Gauranga avatar. So that's stressed, especially in Kali Yuga. Now, it's not that the Maha Mantra wasn't available before, but it's especially given in this age as the Yuga Dharma. The Yuga Dharma. So we have Krishna, we say Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. We have Krishna right dancing on our tongue. So it's very powerful to at least consider that the potency is not any different. Now, in terms of our own elevation, our own purity, all right. But Prabhupada stressed very much the urgency of becoming pure, becoming a pure devotee, going back to Godhead in this lifetime. He stressed the urgency of sharing the movement, the understanding, the practice, the chanting. Sam means together. It's the banner under which all other religions, philosophies can unite under the Achintya Bheda Tattva philosophy in applying and understanding the Sankirtan movement, the position of Krishna and his potency, and therefore the name's potency. So it's very important, because the world is going to, excuse my French, but going to hell in a handbasket. And now we can't even go outside the house unless you go for a walk or whatever. So the miscreants, they're very much trying to control. They have a certain level of control. So are we going to be controlled by that? Because through fear, we can be controlled unless we purify our fear, unless we transform our fear. So in order to develop this sense of urgency, which means that I give myself more and more, whatever my status in life, to supporting directly or indirectly the Sankirtan movement. So everyone can do that according, you're a housewife, you're a student, you're a grandfather, you're a businessman, whatever you do, you can do something to support that. And it depends a lot on your mood, my mood of urgency. It's very easy to be complacent. It's very easy. We've come here to relax and enjoy. I was brought up in the 50s and 60s in America, and I know what that's all about. Expert. So that complacency, that's one of the anarthas, that lethargy, mode of ignorance, to tend to, and it's based on ultimately envy of Krishna. So if I find myself being lazy or lethargic or not so excited or enthusiastic about sharing Krishna consciousness, about becoming Krishna conscious, then I can look at, these are anarthas, the anarthas are there, where we can be fearful, or we can be doubtful, and we can be concerned about what's happening in the world all around. Such a terrible, threatening, crazy situation. And we can get into arguing about should we take the injection? Should we not? So Maya gets in like that. She gets into our anarthas, but that's another anartha to somehow spend time arguing about the actual information is that we shouldn't take the vaccination. The other information is that we should. It's bewildering, and sometimes we may argue about it and be right about it. So in this way, we allow our energy, the preaching energy, the preaching focus, to be dissipated, to be taken off track. Prabhupada especially warned us about this, to fight or bicker or argue amongst each other about some mundane issue. All right, I'm not saying it's not important and we shouldn't have proper information, but to deviate our energy into arguing about it, trying to make ourselves right, some feeling of superiority or they're wrong and I'm right. It's an anartha. So Maya is very expert in this age of quarrel. She creates quarrel between the devotees. And as Prabhupada says, the preaching energy, the preaching is forgotten. So yes, we need to deal with our anarthas, and there's many instructions about how to do that. Nectar of instruction, working on becoming more steady in the mode of goodness, associating in confidence with devotees who respect and are qualified to help us and support us to advance and deal with those horrible things called anarthas, which are there in our heart. First thing is to become honest about it. I am a fallen, self-centered, egotistical rascal, and I'm full of anarthas. Anyone in the material world is full of them. And the first thing is to admit, even if we don't see them, even if we don't know what they are, at least admit, yeah, if they weren't there, I would be a pure devotee. I would be jumping out of my skin, so to speak. I'd be on the street or whatever. And maybe some of you are. I don't want to be presumptuous. Maybe some of you are doing your business and you're just so eager through your business, through your association, through your family, literally just bursting to share Krishna consciousness with everyone. It doesn't mean one isn't grave. Some Prabhupada was very grave a lot of the time. But that energy, that commitment, so that's coming to the stage of anartha nivriti and taking it very seriously and doing whatever is necessary to deal with those anarthas, the lethargy, the fear, the doubt, the fear that I'm going to die or I'm going to get sick, or that's there, okay. At the same time, we shouldn't allow it to allow the fear to be more important than our service to Krishna, our progress in Krishna consciousness. We should be very careful, and we should become aware. All right, I have these anarthas. I'm not going to avoid them, and I'm going to deal with them. I'm going to deal with them according to where I'm at. But if I let them stop me in my progress, then we get stuck at anartha nivriti. And if we get stuck at anartha nivriti, then without going fully through anartha nivriti, cleaning the unwanted things from the heart and mind, then where's the question of becoming steady? Nishta. What to speak of developing attraction? There's no chance. We want to skip that stage. Sometimes it's called spiritual bypassing. Because it's like the illusion of transcendence. I'm transcendental. I don't have doubts or fear. Some people, It's called spiritual bypassing. It's quite common. To avoid dealing with the reality within the dirty things within my heart, I will pretend. I'll jump up like the Mayavadis. They ride on the chariot of the mind, the mano retena, according to Bhagavatam. They think themselves, they imagine themselves liberated, but it's just a mental platform, mano retena. So Prabhupada was very emphatic about developing a sense of urgency. And this, one of the main things I find to develop that is to associate with people who are also very enthusiastic, or already more enthusiastic than I am, and working together. Like-minded devotees. Prabhupada used that phrase, like-minded devotees. So there's lots more to say, but I'd like to open it up to anyone who'd like to offer any realization or reading or question. I've said quite a few things, and we need, it's important to take these transcendental festival days, not just as festivals that we do them every year as a routine. I'm not saying any of you do that, but it's important to not fall into, oh, yes, again, we're celebrating Janmashtami. We'll do this and that and go to the temple or go online, whatever the situation is. And it becomes a little bit like a ritual. But that's all right, as long as it doesn't become niyamagraha, that we're just following for the sake of following, without doing the business, as Prabhupada, without getting the result, the realization. We celebrate these festivals, yes, to glorify the Lord, but He wants us to take inspiration from that. He wants us to become very advanced. He wants us. Prabhupada says, Krishna wants us to come back to Him more than we want to go. It's like the father. He wants the son or grandson to become very proficient, very expert, very advanced. Now, we can't become as advanced or as proficient as Krishna, but Prabhupada, in some ways, he did more than his spiritual master. You think Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was unhappy or disturbed that, oh, my disciple is surpassing me? No, we can be sure Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was extremely, ecstatically proud and happy. And when Prabhupada wrote that impersonal calamity, thou hast moved, he was so happy. He said, whatever he writes, whatever Prabhupada writes, you print that. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was already very happy with Prabhupada. And he said in the beginning, because when some of Prabhupada's godbrothers asked him, well, Abhay Babu, who's out on his own, he's grihasta, shouldn't he take sannyas or whatever? And you know what, some of you know what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said. He said, basically, don't worry. In time, he will do everything. In time, he will do everything. And just see, in time, he did everything, and he is doing everything if we accept his Srimad Bhagavatam, his instructions, his example. As much as we accept that as our very life and soul. So in that mood, we can celebrate Janmashtami, Vyasa Puja, Gaur Purnima, all these festivals. They're there to mostly, I'll assert, to become enlivened ourselves. Yes, we want to give and serve. Yes, but why? I'm not minimizing giving and serving. And the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. But unless we do, Prabhupada said specifically, first thing is save yourself. First thing is to save yourself. And what's the most essential instruction of Prabhupada, according to him? Chanting 16 rounds minimum day. Giving up, avoiding offenses. So Prabhupada makes it very clear. Everything's there. First, save yourself. Why? Because when you save yourself, you can save others. So take the festival. We take the festivals as a means of enlivenment, to become more enthused, more inspired, more aware, more realized, and more strong to deal with those anarthas, which are keeping us from being in full urgency, being fully enthusiastic, being steady, being undisturbed, being more energetic, and finding ingenious ways to engage people in the Sankirtan movement. So I said I was going to ask, I'm asking for others to contribute. If you want, please come forward or unmute yourself and offer some realization or some question or anything.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shila here. Hare Bo. I'm picking up Atmananda Prabhu's mood and thinking, yeah, well, okay, he's really making a very strong point that the festival is about glorifying Krishna at the same time as for us to become inspired, and that that is so vital to Krishna. It's so vital to us. So yeah, I'm riding on that that nice wave, not little wave, but that wave that's coming through. It's a very good point. How to expand it? That's my reflection. I'm just reflecting that back to broaden the conversation slightly, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, you appreciate that point, that festivals are not just for glorifying the Lord. I mean, glorifying the Lord means we also become beautiful, but also to enhance or increase our realization, our strength, our enthusiasm. Yeah, thank you.
You mentioned Niyamagraha, that you were making that point that it's not that we just do it out of a sense of ritual, that this has to be done, but following the rules and regulations simply for following them and not for making spiritual development and advancement. And I love the way you presented that unless we save ourselves, really, then we can't save others. So we really have to focus. If we want to help others, we really got to focus, as you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, as you probably know, that second verse of Nectar of Instruction, Pratyahara Prajalpascha, Niyamagra, just following the rules and regulations or the principles, the rituals, for the sake of following them, without getting the realization, the strength, the deeper awareness in the science of devotional service, that spoils. It destroys devotional service. We need to be very careful. At the same time, the other meaning of Niyamagraha with the other spelling is giving up or rejecting the rules and regulations and acting whimsically. So we don't want to go to that extreme either, but we should know that ritual without the juice, so to speak, without the realization, without the increased purification and enthusiasm and realization is also destroying to devotional service, those two of the 6 things. Thank you, Rashila.
Hare Krishna. You hear from the others.
Yes, please. Bhakti Marg maybe always has lots to say if she's there. Or Jai, or anyone, please.
I am here, but I'm just listening because I've got to get all my schoolwork prepared for the kids for tomorrow, so it's quite a big thing. So I'm just listening.
Yes.
Multitasking.
Thank you for being here. Just one question. I understand there's a program, what, tomorrow evening for the school, pre-Janmashtami?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you for being here and doing your wonderful service for the children, the Hare Krishna school, with Krishnananda Prabhu and Mother Vimala and others. There's one there. She tell you, is that your daughter? Mataji, please share something. One of the most senior devotees. If you're there, I'm not going to put you on the hotspot, although I probably am, but please share something if and when you like. So I'm waiting for someone else, for the rest of you to, I'm sure you all have some. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Nice lecture. It's always very good to see you and listen to your realizations. And the famous verse 4.9 from Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha prakta deham punar janma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. That's the famous verse. Is something this, I'll quickly read the translation also.
What was that last?
Sorry?
You're asking about the translation?
Yeah, I'll read a translation. One who knows.
One who knows the
transcendental
nature, yeah.
My appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
Yes.
So, Prabhu, while we got you here in the class, very lucky, would you like to talk about this and relate to this to Janmashtami festival celebration?
This verse in relation to Janmashtami festival? Is that what you're asking? I didn't hear you. Was that right?
Yes, that's what I'm asking, Prabhu. Sorry.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, for me, this relates to how we celebrate. I was saying before, it's important that we get the realization, we increase our Krishna consciousness. And it doesn't mean just seeing the form of Krishna. We do that. The deity worship is necessary for us neophytes to engage the mind, to attract the mind. We do have the form. At the same time, sometimes I hear devotees saying we should just think of the form of Krishna. And Krishna does say that in Bhagavad Gita. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says something about it's not useful to make an extra endeavor to try to think of the form. So that really struck me. I don't have the exact reference here, but I can get it if you want it. It's not helpful or necessary to make an extra endeavor to think about the form of Krishna. And it's interesting because in the introduction to the Chaitanya teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada says clearly, the instructions here in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Charitamrita, of Lord Chaitanya to chant Hare Krishna is the same as Krishna's instruction, Bhagavad Gita, man mana bhavan mad bhakta, always think of me. So that struck me as well, that if I'm chanting, now yes, smaranam will come. I'll remember the form. But if I try to jump to that state, that level artificially, I may be just adjusting my mind and not really focusing on the sound. Krishna, Namarup, Krishna in his name. So no one is necessarily doing that. I'm just making a point that in this age, in Kali Yuga, the Sankirtan movement is the Yuga Dharma. This is the activity. This is the only activity. Whatever form, however we're connected or supported or whatever, or taking advantage of it, it's based on the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the essence. And everything else will come from that. If we try to artificially think of the form of the Krishna, now thinking of the form of the deity, it may sound like I'm saying don't do that. No, if there's something natural there, and it's many devotees are just completely attached to the deity, and naturally they're thinking of the deity. Prabhupada recommended chanting at least 1 hour every day in front of the deities, chanting your rounds. He recommended that. So I'm not diminishing that. I'm just making the point that our focus must be on minimizing, avoiding the offenses in the specific, basic practice, essential, foundational practice of chanting Hare Krishna, avoiding the offenses. That's the first thing. Anything else on top of that, that's a bonus. And I'm not saying that anything else on top of that is not important or valuable or worthwhile. But I'm saying let's be clear about knowing Krishna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance. So Krishna has appeared in his name. So how much do we know that the nature of him in that form, which is specifically recommended for this age? How much am I tasting what Rupa Goswami said? If I have had hundreds of tongues and thousands of ears, I could relish the sound of Krishna. So I don't want to be presumptuous. Maybe many or all of you have a great taste. I can fully relate with Lord Chaitanya's statement himself. But unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction. And it's hard to maintain the faith, that to have 10th offense, to not have complete faith in the church, to maintain day after day, week after week, month after year, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, chanting, when we may not, as of yet, develop a taste, attraction, an eagerness to chant my rounds and more. So for me, that's how this one way that this verse relates. How do I know? Prabhupada explains in the purport. The Lord's descent from the transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance, and I'm talking about the appearance in the form, the Lord's appearance in the form of the holy name of the personality of Godhead, is already liberated. Already liberated. One who can understand the truth. I'm saying the truth about the holy name. To come to the platform of Krishna and his name are the same, without any question, without any doubt, without any lack of experience or realization of that. That's what I'm understanding. And therefore, he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting his present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. I'm saying it's not easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning again to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, I'm saying the name, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning again to this material world. Wow. No risk of coming back to the cycle of samsara, old age, disease, birth, death and rebirth again. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Advaitam achyutam anadi manantarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the name, the incarnation of the name is one with, same and one with. One and the same Supreme Personality of God. The name is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, completely convinced, or on the way to it. Although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas, etc. So, Avinash, is that helpful at all? Is that at least a partial answer?
Yes, Prabhu, it's perfect, Prabhu. So coming back to your class when you started with Janmashtami, and then I bring this verse in the discussion. So what I understand, that one who knows the transient nature of my appearance, and that is Krishna's name is as good as Krishna appearing. And if somebody is doing it properly, all those offenses are actually avoided. For him, for a devotee like this, every day is a Janmashtami.
Very nice. I like it.
Yeah, then they don't have to wait for a 12 months so that, okay, Janmashtami coming, let us go celebrate, go to temple, do this, do that, and then, yeah. So for a pure devotee, or a devotee who has developed a taste for chanting the name, for him every day is a Janmashtami.
Every day the Lord is appearing, every moment. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Hare Krishna. All right, well, it's about time to finish up and give Jai Srila Prabhu the floor, unless there's any last minute questions or comments. Jai, Krishnadas, you have something to add or say?
Atmananda, thank you very much once again for your very nice lecture. We're very lucky, as Avinash Prabhu mentioned, that you're sharing your realizations with us. I had a little question, Prabhuji. So the main gist of what I understood from your lecture, I'm sure you must have already elaborated on this point, that to minimize the offenses, we remember Lord Krishna, our mood in Janmashtami when we chant, etc., is to minimize our offenses. I was just wondering if you could perhaps elaborate a little bit on what some of these offenses are. Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Well, there's not time to do much on that. Thank you for the question. But Jai, I think everyone here probably knows there are 10 offenses. I could go through them, but there's not time for that. But is there something specific, or maybe it's one particular or two particular offenses that you're specifically wondering about, or anything more specific in your question that we could talk about briefly?
So in the context of chanting, for example, obviously your mind wanders a lot and you're not concentrating on your chanting. Are there certain offenses that tie into that? That was my premise of my question.
Yes. We always say when we repeat the offenses, when we list the offenses, it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting the holy names. Now, I think it's Srila Prabhupada, or maybe it's in Harinam Chintamani, that offense is the mother of all offenses. And because by being inattentive, then everything else can grow. The weeds of anarthas, they can. So being attentive means that it's an austerity, and Prabhupada specifically said it's not easy. Such liberation of a living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. So this is our process. So as much as we see, to notice how we avoid, or how much we avoid focusing. I watch my mind. I'm training my mind now to gradually, every moment, to be aware of what my mind's doing. They call it mindfulness these days. It's Krishna consciousness. That I'm thinking about something else now. So bring it back. Now that's an austerity, because the mind is screaming and kicking and telling us that we have this important thing to think about or to take care of, what's going to happen during the day, or what I'm going to have for lunch, or what I did with that person that they got upset with. So many things which we take as important. Now, maybe they're important, but what is most important? Save yourself first. So we study, we hear these instructions, we take association so that we can seriously practice this austerity of bringing the mind, as Krishna says, forget the Sanskrit, from wherever and whatever the mind may want, yato yato nischalati, 6th chapter, from wherever and whatever the mind may wander due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Capital S, Prabhupada has, under the control of the self. So that's one trick. That's one thing we can focus on. From whatever and where, anything. Ultimately, we need to be ready at the time of death. Ante Narayana Smriti. So I appreciate your question. And another one is that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, as you all know, in the morning, beat your mind with shoes. I think he said 100 times. So, and in the evening, sweep it 100 times. So the practice, Krishna says, the other thing Krishna says, because Arjuna says it seems impossible, Arjuna, and you all know this. Krishna says, it seems to me more difficult to control the mind than to control the raging wind. And Krishna says, yes, but it's possible. How? Madhuri, you know? Anyone? Jai, you probably know. By practice and detachment. So it's an austerity to continue even when we feel it's boring, or we got other things to get on with, and so many things. Mode of ignorance, mode of passion. But yeah, at least the first thing is to become aware of it. Solution always starts with awareness. So notice, and then look for particular solution with the proper association, or from Prabhupada's books, or from your own realization of how to resolve that particular deviation or distraction for yourself. So I've gone over time now, just about.
Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your question. Important question.
Hi, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for a nice lecture, as always. And thank you for your nice association. I'm not going to take much time. I'm just going to say 2 points really came about for me. One was when you mentioned about associating with like-minded devotees. So that helps you in your own, progress in Krishna consciousness. And it kind of resonated with, like, when you're a child and when you're studying, also you're told to associate with right-minded children. So you can focus on your studies. And this is also so important. And the second point that came to my mind was about the urgency that Srila Prabhupada has always in his books. Because, when you're preparing for an exam, you know when the exam is, but death can come at any moment without any notice. So we don't know. So, you don't have a time limit that it's going to come or not going to come. So that urgency is so important. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhupada said that at least Maharaj Pariksit, he knew that he had 7 days to live. He said, we don't even know if we have 7 days to live. And
Yes.
and also Bhakti Tirtha Swami made a very nice comment. I haven't read much about this particular point, but he expands. He says, die before dying. In other words, now be prepared. Make sure if you died now, you'd be ready. So die before dying, if you know what I mean.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Very inspiring. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your association and your serious attention. Prabhupada is offering us all the best of everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Atmananda. Thank you very much for your nice class. And it's very important. I think everybody will take the important points of urgency in Krishna consciousness. And one is to save themselves first, save yourself first, before you go into save others, which is also very important. The most important thing to do is the most important thing to do. Yeah, thank you very much.
I meant to ask you at the beginning if you're recording this and encourage you to, you are.
It's all recorded on YouTube. It's there.
Excellent. Okay, good. So everyone here can access it again if they want, and anyone who's not here can also do that.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Ambarish, again, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So with this now, we will be moving on to the second program. This program is now Jai Srila Prabhu's class. We will disconnect ourselves from YouTube just for brief 20 seconds and reconnect again. So maybe Jai Srila Prabhu, when you're ready, you can show yourself and we'll be ready. We can take the class. Or you want